There was a young woman named Jamila in Uzbekistan who earned 20,000 yen a month working as a souvenir shop clerk and singing on the streets. She jumped into working to support her large family of 7 right after graduating high school, but she couldn't see a future. Then, like fate, a Japanese man appeared in her life. It was only a 3-day encounter, but that short time transformed Jamila's life. Overcoming her parents' strong opposition and the worried glances of those around her, Jamila traveled to Japan, thousands of kilometers away. What she experienced in Japan was beyond imagination. And a year later, why did her parents weep at the airport when they visited Japan? Now, I will begin that moving story. Subscribing to the channel, liking the video, setting notifications, and becoming a member will be a great strength to me. My name is Jamila. I was born and raised in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. My family was a large one, consisting of 7 people, including my parents and siblings. No one in the family was idle. Everyone worked to make ends meet. I started working right after high school graduation. College was a distant dream. Studying was a luxury when we had to worry about our next meal. During the day, I worked in a small souvenir shop near Registan Square, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. My job was to sell silk scarves and historical crafts to tourists. The shop owner was stingy, and my monthly salary was only $150, about 20,000 yen. This money was nowhere near enough to cover our family's living expenses, so I had to work extra hours at night. As the sun set, I would go to Registan Square, where many tourists gathered. There, I would sing Uzbek folk songs in traditional Uzbek attire. The tips tourists threw me were about 500 to 1,000 yen a day. Sometimes, there were many days when I didn't even get that. When I returned home after 11 p.m., my whole body felt heavy as lead. And so, the days passed. Our family's situation was not easy. My father worked as a day laborer at construction sites, but work wasn't always available. On rainy days, or when there was no construction, he had to stay home all day. On such days, his shoulders seemed to shrink even more. My mother supported the family by weaving carpets at home. Sitting all day and pulling threads put a strain on her back and wrists. My mother often rubbed her back and let out groans. I had 4 younger sisters. They all had to go to school. My 16-year-old sister, Layla, was in her 2nd year of high school, and my 14-year-old sister, Khalida, was in her 3rd year of junior high school. My 12-year-old sister, Jasmine, and my 9-year-old brother, Amir, were in elementary school. The cost of tuition, school supplies, and uniforms was significant. Our household went into a state of emergency every time the school year began. Once, Layla didn't have money to buy new textbooks and spent the whole night copying from a friend's book by hand. Seeing my sister writing characters in her notebook until dawn broke my heart. I had experienced the same thing. I remembered vividly how I had to copy an entire reference book by hand in high school because I couldn't afford to buy it. Winter was especially difficult. Winters in Samarkand were colder than I expected. The temperature often dropped below freezing. Heating costs were a burden, so the whole family gathered in one room to spend time together. We layered blankets and endured the cold with each other's body heat. I still vividly remember those times when I shivered with cold before falling asleep. When Amir shivered with cold, I would hold him and sleep with him. I would put my little brother's cold hands in my bosom to warm them up. We never had enough food either. Dinner usually consisted of bread, soup, and potato dishes. We only ate meat on holidays or special occasions. My mother would often not eat herself, trying to feed us all. I hated that and would try to serve her a portion too, but she would refuse, saying she was full. But I knew she went to sleep hungry. In such circumstances, I commuted season, it was busy with many customers, but during the off-season, there were days when not a single customer came all day. In those times, I would sit in a corner of the store and stare blankly into space. Living like this, when would things get better? I couldn't see any hope for the future. One day, I happened to come across YouTube at the shop. We had Wi-Fi there. In the afternoons when there were no customers, I was watching videos on my smartphone, captivated by the glamorous stages and wonderful performances. As I became engrossed in Japanese music, I discovered a genre called enka. I will never forget the shock I felt the first time I heard it. It was an enka song. I don't remember the title, but its sad melody pierced my heart. I didn't understand a single word of the lyrics, but the sad and mournful melody deeply moved me. It was a different kind of emotion from Uzbek folk songs, but somehow it felt familiar. Sad, yet full of hope. Painful, yet warm. Listening to enka somehow comforted me. After a difficult day, I would return home, dragging my tired body, put on my earphones, and listen to enka, and tears would flow. Even without understanding the lyrics, the emotions were conveyed directly. It felt like someone understood my heart. I realized I wasn't the only one struggling. Everyone in the world carries their own sadness. I became completely absorbed in enka and started learning Japanese on my own. I wrote down each word from YouTube subtitles in my notebook. I learned words like love, sadness, tears, and separation. Studying Japanese late into the night was my only joy. After my sisters had all fallen asleep, I would copy hiragana characters in my notebook under the dim light of a small stand. People around me asked why I was learning Japanese. Even the shop owner seemed puzzled. "Jamila, what will you do learning Japanese? There are hardly any Japanese tourists here." I couldn't answer. I didn't even know exactly why I was learning it myself. I just had a vague premonition that this language would somehow change my life, but I never dreamed it would become a reality so soon and in such a way. While studying Japanese, I also became interested in Japan. I watched videos of Japanese cityscapes, Japanese food, and the daily lives of Japanese people on YouTube. I was fascinated by the clean streets, the orderly atmosphere, and the developed infrastructure. It was a world so different from Uzbekistan. I wondered if I would ever be able to live in such a place. In my repetitive, painful daily life, enka was my only lifeline of hope. Listening to those songs, I believed that someday I would be able to live a better life, that the day would come when my talent would be recognized. When I sang on the street, I would hum enka melodies. Tourists looked at me strangely, but I didn't care. However, reality was cold. At 21, I was still a souvenir shop clerk and a street performer at night. I couldn't see a future, and hope seemed to be fading away. My friends were getting married one by one. In Uzbekistan, 21 was considered a late age for a woman to be unmarried. My mother occasionally brought up marriage. "Jamila, an aunt from the neighborhood wants to introduce her son to you. Why don't you meet him?" I shook my head. "Not yet, Mom. I have something I want to do before getting married." My mother sighed. "A daughter has her own dreams, you know." I never imagined that such a fateful encounter would befall me. I thought it would be just another ordinary day. It was a sunny day in mid-April, with slightly more tourists than usual. But I had no idea that this ordinary day would become a turning point in my life. The gears of destiny had already begun to turn. It was a sunny day in mid-April. The sunlight was dazzling from the morning, and the air was warm. The souvenir shop near Registan Square was busier than usual due to the tourist season. I opened the shop door at 9 a.m. and was busy attending to customers. Chinese tourists, European tourists, bunch of bread and tea behind the store. Around 3 p.m., the flow of customers slowed down a bit. I was organizing the shelves, thinking about the songs I would sing at tonight's performance. Just then, an East Asian man stood in front of the store, looking around with a map. He seemed to be under 30 and had a neat appearance. He was wearing a clean shirt and pants and had a backpack. I thought he was a Chinese tourist, but his aura was different. He seemed quieter and more refined. He hesitated for a moment, and then approached me with hesitant English. "Excuse me, do you know where the Afrasiab Museum is, if you don't mind?" I tried to answer in English. If you walk north from here for about 10 minutes. But that's when it happened. A child, about 6 years old, ran past the front of the store, chasing his brother, tripped, and fell. The child lost his balance, and with a cry, rushed towards the antique crafts in front of me. I was startled and shouted, "Careful!" He and I moved almost simultaneously. We rushed towards the child at the same time and caught him. I grabbed the child's arm, and the man supported the child's body. The child stopped in midair, unharmed. The child, surprised, started crying. "Wah!" I quickly reassured the child. "It's okay. It's okay. Are you hurt?" I helped the child up and adjusted his clothes. The man also looked concerned, checking if the child's knees were dusty. The child's mother rushed over. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm truly sorry." The mother repeatedly apologized in Uzbek. I waved my hand, saying it was fine. "I'm glad your child wasn't hurt. Please be careful." The mother held her child's hand tightly, bowed her head, and hurried away. I took a breath and checked the antique craft shelves. Fortunately, none were broken. At that moment, my tension eased, and I spoke unconsciously. "Phew, that was close. It's okay." I said it in Japanese. Japanese words naturally flowed from my mouth. I was surprised, but the man looked even more surprised. His eyes were wide open. "Oh, did you just speak Japanese?" he asked in surprise. My face turned bright red. I was flustered. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm studying Japanese by myself, and it just came out unconsciously." I smiled awkwardly and waved my hands. He said with a smile, "No, there's no need to apologize at all. I was truly surprised. I never dreamed of hearing Japanese here in Samarkand. And your pronunciation is so beautiful. Where did you learn it?" His voice was filled with pure curiosity and delight. I replied shyly, "I just studied by myself on YouTube. I like enka, so I learned while listening to songs." He looked even more surprised. "Enka? It's really rare for a foreigner to like enka. Most people tend to like J-pop." We continued to chat naturally. His name was Kenji Kimura. He said he was an office worker from Tokyo, working for a trading company. He was on a week-long business trip to Bukhara, but his work ended on Wednesday, and he had time until the weekend, so he came to Samarkand to sightsee today, Friday. He said he would return to Bukhara on Sunday night and fly back to Japan on Monday morning. When Kenji asked me for directions, unlike other foreigners, he made an effort to speak in Uzbek. "Rahmat kata, rahmat." It meant "thank you very much" in Uzbek. His pronunciation was hesitant, but his effort itself was impressive. I could feel his respect for the local culture. We talked about Japan and Uzbekistan. Kenji had many questions about Samarkand's history, and I explained as much as I knew. As we talked, my closing time for the shop approached before I knew it. I looked at my watch. It was 5:30 p.m. I began preparing to close the shop. I tidied up the shelves and counted the register. Kenji lingered outside the shop, looking reluctant to part. I locked the shop door and came out. Just then, Kenji approached me hesitantly. Jamila-san, I think this is fate. If you have time, would you be willing to be my guide in SummerCon tonight? Of course, I will compensate you. I only have 2 days to stay in SummerCon because I have to return to Bukhara on Sunday night. His voice was polite and his gaze was serious. I was a little hesitant at his polite offer. It was necessary to be cautious about being with a foreign man alone. In Uzbekistan, there were also many people who didn't look favorably on a young woman being alone with a man. However, I felt his sincerity in Kenji's gaze, and above all, I was excited to be able to converse in Japanese. After thinking for a moment, I nodded. Okay, I'll show you places I know. However, I have a performance at night, so my time is a bit limited. Kenji's face lit up with a smile. That's fine. I'm honored to spend even a short time with you, Jamila-san. Thank you very much. I suggested Shaizinda, which is most beautiful around sunset. If we leave now, we can see the sunset. Kenji said, That sounds wonderful. We started walking together. As we walked along the street, we continued our conversation. Kenji told me about his work life in Japan. I talked about daily life in Uzbekistan. Strangely, we quickly hit it off. Speaking in Japanese felt natural, not awkward. Kenji listened attentively to my hesitant Japanese without laughing. Even then, I had no idea that this encounter would completely change my life. I only thought it would be a special night to speak in Japanese, but destiny had already begun. The most important 3 days of my life were now beginning. We arrived at Shaizinda as the sun began to set. The mausoleum, decorated with blue tiles, was bathed in the setting sun and shone brilliantly. Kenji exclaimed in admiration while looking at the architecture. It's truly beautiful. I'd only seen it in pictures, but seeing it in person is far more grand and beautiful. I'm so glad I could see a place like this with you, Jamila-san, instead of seeing it alone. I explained the history of the place to Kenji. This mausoleum is where the nobles and royalty of Timurid were buried from the 14th to 15th centuries. The blue tile decorations you see are very famous. Kenji nodded as he listened to my explanation. We slowly climbed the stairs, talking. The stairs were narrow and steep, but it was fun to climb them. We paused along the way and looked down at the panoramic view of the city. Samarkand, bathed in the sunset, was truly beautiful. Kenji took many photos. I began to tell Kenji more about my daily life. Actually, I work in a souvenir shop during the day, but I have another job at night. Kenji asked with a puzzled look, What kind of work do you do? I was a little embarrassed, but I decided to tell him honestly. I sing for tourists. I sing traditional Uzbek folk songs. I have to earn more money. Our family's finances are a bit tight. Kenji looked surprised. Singing? Jamila, you're a singer. It's embarrassing to call myself a singer. I'm just a street performer. But I like to sing. It's the only thing I can do. However, Kenji's gaze changed. I sensed something special in his serious expression. He said in a serious voice, I would really like to hear your voice, Jamila. Would you sing a song for me? Here now. I hesitated. Yes. There's no one else here but us. It would be a great honor to hear Jamila's song in such a beautiful place. I nodded to his heartfelt request. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The warm glow of the sunset enveloped my face, and I began to sing a traditional Uzbek folk song. It was a song about longing for a loved one. My voice echoed in the quiet evening air. While singing, I was completely immersed in another world. It felt different from singing on the street normally. I didn't have to worry about tourists' stares or try to get tips. I could just focus on the song itself. I poured my emotions into the song. My love for my family, the sorrow of hardship, the hope for the future. I put it all in. When the song ended and I opened my speechless. He just stared at me. Tears welled up in his eyes. I was bewildered. "Kenji, are you okay?" A moment of silence followed. Then he said in a trembling voice, "Jamila, this is truly an incredible talent. Even though I didn't understand a single word of the lyrics, my heart ached. The emotions conveyed in the song came through directly. I was surprised by his reaction. Most tourists just applauded and gave tips. Few were genuinely moved. But Kenji was different. He continued earnestly. "Jamila's voice and expressiveness are truly special. Your pitch is stable, and your emotional expression is wonderful. Talent like this shouldn't be confined to such a small stage." I was taken aback. "What do you mean? I'm just an ordinary street performer." Kenji took my hand. "No, Jamila, you're not ordinary. In Japan, there's a system that systematically supports talented people. There are many audition programs, and you can train at an agency. If you have the talent, you can seize opportunities regardless of your background or education. Talent like Jamila's is definitely possible." I couldn't believe it. "Japan? Is that possible? I'm a foreigner." Kenji said with conviction, "It's possible. No, we can make it possible. Recently, many foreign singers have been active in Japan, especially if you can speak Japanese, and like Enka, like Jamila, it's a big advantage." He continued, "Jamila's talent is not just a means of earning money. It's infinite potential. You might be earning 1,000 yen a day here, but in Japan, you can achieve much more with that talent. And above all, Jamila's talent will be recognized appropriately." That night, for the first time, I met someone who saw my talent not just as a means of earning money, but as potential. Kenji was deeply moved by my singing and spoke earnestly about my future. No one had ever said anything like that to me. We sat there and talked until the sun had completely set and darkness fell. Kenji explained in detail about the Japanese music industry, audition programs, agency systems, training processes, and post-debut activities. As I listened to his story, a new world seemed to open up. I asked him, "Kenji-san, why are you telling me all this? We only met today." Kenji hesitated for a moment and said, "I'm not sure. I just feel it would be a waste for Jamila's talent to be buried. And honestly, I want to talk more with Jamila." My heart pounded at his honest confession. I felt my face turn red. Fortunately, Kenji probably couldn't see it. Kenji suggested meeting again tomorrow after he finished his work. I accepted the promise with a fluttering heart. Even on the way home, my chest was inexplicably pounding. Who was this man? Why was he giving me such hope? Why was he looking at me so seriously? All sorts of thoughts raced through my mind. I barely slept that night. Kenji's words kept replaying in my head. The next day, Kenji came to see me as promised. It was around 4 p.m. He was waiting with a smile in front of my shop. "Jamila-san, thank you so much for yesterday. Are you free today as well?" I nodded. "Yes, I'm free until my evening performance today." We visited other famous places in Samarkand together. We headed to the Bibi Kanyam Mosque. Kenji was again impressed by the grandeur of the massive mosque. "It's truly amazing. How could they build such a large structure in that era?" I explained as much as I knew. This mosque was built in the 14th century by order of Timur. Timur had it built for his wife after returning from his expedition to India. It was one of the largest mosques in the world at that time. Kenji eagerly took photos while listening to my explanation. We slowly toured the mosque, the spacious courtyard, the high dome, the intricate tile decorations. Everything was awe-inspiring. Kenji listened intently to everything I explained, and he told me about Japan. Kenji was an ordinary office worker at a company in Tokyo, but said that in Japan, talented people are given many opportunities, that you can succeed with talent, regardless of background or education. I envied those words so much. Next, we headed to Shahrazab's, Timur's hometown. There, we toured the ruins of his summer palace. Although only ruins remained now, we could imagine its former grandeur. Kenji was deeply interested in history, and I explained as much as I knew. We spent time together on the second day as well. We went to the Uzbek Observatory. Built in the 15th century, it was world-class for its time. Kenji was also interested in science. We toured the observatory and talked about the wisdom of people in ancient times. Before we knew it, a special feeling had blossomed between us. Kenji's gaze towards me had changed. It was warmer and more loving than on the first day. I felt strangely relaxed and happy when I was with him. It felt like I had known him for a very long time. On the evening of the third day, we were about to part near Kenji's hotel, where he would return to Bukhara. It was past 9 p.m. I was reluctant to part with Kenji. My heart felt heavy, thinking that he would return to Japan the next day. As we walked down the street, about 15 men suddenly blocked our way. They seemed drunk and sent hostile glances at foreigners. I recognized them. They were troublemakers from the neighborhood who often caused problems. The leader approached Kenji and shouted in Russian, "Hey, Chinese, this is my territory. Give me money." I understood his words. My whole body froze. This wasn't the first time I had been in such a situation, but I was still scared. It was even scarier because I was with Kenji. However, Kenji was different from what I expected. He was not at all flustered. Instead, he calmly held my hand tightly, pushed me behind him, and said firmly in English, "I am not Chinese. I am Japanese. Have you ever heard of karate? I am a karate master. I will give you money, but do not touch this woman." Kenji's voice was unwavering. It was filled with confidence. He took out his wallet from his pocket and handed over the money. "Here, take this." They exchanged glances after receiving the money. A tense silence followed. Finally, they left grumbling after getting the money. "Lucky bastards. I'll let it go today because I'm in a good mood." After they had completely left, Kenji finally relaxed his tension. My whole body was trembling with fear. I felt my legs give out and almost collapsed. Kenji embraced me. "It's okay, Jamila-san. You're safe now. They're gone." In his warm embrace, I finally burst into tears. I was scared. I was really scared. Kenji stroked my head and said, "I'm sorry. I put Jamila-san in danger." "No, it's not Kenji-san's fault." I shook my head. "Thank you for protecting me instead." We stayed like that for a while. My heart was pounding wildly. It wasn't just fear. Kenji's figure, trying to protect me in the face of danger, was deeply etched in my heart. I felt this man was genuine, someone who prioritized my safety over his own. Kenji cupped my face in his hands and looked at me. Wiping my tear-stained face, he said, "Jamila-san, I've been struggling for the past 2 days. I wondered if I had the right to say this. It's only been 3 days since we met, but after experiencing today, I can't hold back anymore." He continued in a trembling voice, "I understand your practical difficulties. I also understand that the worlds we've lived in are very different. But at this moment, being with you is the greatest happiness for me. I don't want to let this feeling slip away. Please give me a chance." I nodded through my tears. "Me too. Kenji-san, I haven't been able to sleep every night since meeting you. I don't know what this is, but my heart is increasingly drawn to Kenji-san." At that moment, we became passionate lovers. It was only 3 days, but it felt like an eternity. I felt that with this man, I could overcome any difficulty. But reality was not so sweet. The greatest trial awaited us. The next day, I summoned the courage to invite Kenji to my home. It was Sunday afternoon. I wanted to introduce him to my parents. Kenji was supposed to return to Bukhara that night and fly back to Japan the next morning, but he readily agreed. He also brought souvenirs he had prepared for business associates. It was a set of high-quality Japanese tea and sweets. He hadn't bought them for himself, but had bought them for business associates, and he gladly offered them to our family. Around 4 p.m., Kenji arrived at my home. We lived in a small, unassuming house outside Samarkand. The house was old, but my mother always kept it clean. My father, mother, and all my sisters welcomed Kenji. Kenji took off his shoes at the entrance and greeted us politely. "Hello, my name is Kenji Kimura. Through Jamila-san, I've come to know the beauty of Uzbekistan. Thank you for inviting me." He bowed deeply in a Japanese style. My father seemed impressed by his gesture. My mother lovingly prepared traditional bread, naan, and plav. It was the Uzbek tradition of hospitality. The table was also set with lamb dishes, salads, and fruits. These were dishes my mother had prepared for several days. During the meal, Kenji ate all the dishes with apparent enjoyment. It's truly delicious. I've never eaten such delicious food before. He praised the food with genuine admiration. My mother was delighted and urged him to eat more. During the meal, Kenji brought up my talent. "Father, mother, Jamila's singing talent is truly special." I happened to hear Jamila sing, and I was truly amazed. If combined with Japan's systematic support, there are incredible opportunities. My father listened with interest, but my mother's expression gradually darkened. She looked at me with worried eyes. I knew what that look meant. After dinner, Kenji left, and my mother came to my room. My father was with her. Their expressions were serious. "Jamila, we need to talk," my mother said in a heavy voice. My heart pounded. I knew my parents would object, but I didn't want to hear it. "We understand that you like that man, Kenji, but isn't it too sudden? It's only been a few days since you met him," my father said worriedly. I replied, "Father, I feel like he's truly serious. Kenji-san is different. He's the first person to look at me so earnestly." My mother sighed. "Jamila, you don't know the world. Do you know how many women I've seen who married Japanese men and struggled? There are many divorces due to cultural differences, and sometimes they are hurt by being seen as trying to lure people for money. You say you can speak a little Japanese, but that's just the beginning. Language is just the start." My father added, "Do you remember Mahmoud-san's daughter from our neighborhood? Fatima. She married a Japanese man and returned after a year. She said she didn't get along with his family. She didn't like Japanese food, and the cold winters were tough. The emotional scars she suffered were immense." I said, holding back tears, "Kenji-san is not like that. He genuinely supports my talent, and he respects me as a person." My mother took my hand. "Jamila, it's not that we don't love you. It's because we love you too much that we're worried." For a few days, the atmosphere in the house was heavy. Kenji said he had canceled his Monday morning flight and would stay in Samarkand for a few more days. I contacted my company and took a leave of absence. I cannot return without persuading Jamila-san's parents. I explained my parents' objections to Kenji in detail. Kenji said with a serious voice, "I want to meet Jamila-san's parents directly and convey my true feelings. I would like to visit again. I want to have a formal talk." On Tuesday night, Kenji visited my home again. This time, he knelt before my parents with even greater politeness. My heart pounded. "Father, mother, it has only been 3 days since I met Jamila-san, short time, but I am convinced. Kenji's voice trembled, but was resolute. I have come to love Jamila-san, not for her money or any other reason, but solely for her talent, her future potential, and for who she is as a person. I will take responsibility for her dreams in Japan and make them come true. Please give me a chance. My father remained in deep silence. My mother asked tearfully, Kenji-san, will you truly make our daughter happy? Will our daughter be lonely and sad when she goes to Japan? That's our biggest concern. Here, we are all together, but in Japan, she will be alone, won't she? Kenji bowed his head. I fully understand your concerns as parents. I have parents too, so I understand your feelings. But I promise, I will do everything in my power to help Jamila-san never feel lonely in Japan, to let her talent shine, and above all, to make her happy. I want to marry Jamila-san. At that moment, the air in the room seemed to stop. I couldn't breathe. My father slowly opened his mouth. Kenji-san, I understand your true feelings, but we have traditions. Please understand the feelings of parents sending their daughter away. He hesitated for a moment and then said, according to our traditions, the groom must prepare a bride price for the bride's family. It is an expression of his intention to cherish and take responsibility for his daughter. About 500,000 yen would be sufficient. Kenji didn't hesitate at all. I understand. I will prepare it. Kenji returned to Japan on Wednesday, and I had video calls with him every day. He said he worked hard to save money in Japan. He said he was also doing part-time jobs in addition to his company work. I felt sorry for him. Kenji-san, you don't have to go that far. But Kenji just smiled and said it was okay. A month later, Kenji came to Uzbekistan again. This time, he brought 800,000 yen. This was 300,000 yen more than the amount my parents had requested. I was surprised. Kenji-san, you didn't have to prepare so much. Kenji handed the money to my parents and said, I'm not trying to buy Jamila-san with money. It's a promise that I will be responsible for Jamila-san for life, deeply respecting the circumstances and traditions of her family. And I hope it will help your family live without worry, even if Jamila-san goes to Japan. Please accept this small amount. My mother shed tears at his gesture. My father also tightly shook Kenji's hand. Kenji-san, please take care of our daughter. I understand now that you are serious. We had prejudices. Please forgive us. And so, my parents finally consented to our marriage. I shed tears of joy. Finally, a new chapter of my life was about to open. After receiving my parents' consent, Kenji immediately helped me with my Japanese visa. He provided meticulous support for everything, from preparing documents to booking appointments at the embassy. Even after returning to Japan, he checked the progress daily by phone. Jamila-san, have you prepared all the documents? How was the embassy interview? Just answer honestly and don't be nervous. The visa application process was more complex than I expected. There were many documents to prepare, such as proof of residence, certificate of family relations, and certificate of marriage. Kenji organized and sent me a list of the required documents and explained how to prepare them one by one. I was busy working during the day and preparing documents at night. The most difficult part was the embassy interview. I had to travel to the Japanese embassy in Tashkent. It took 2 hours by train from Samarkand to Tashkent. The night before the interview, I couldn't sleep due to nervousness. Kenji encouraged me over the phone. Jamila-san, you can do it. Just answer honestly. On the day of the interview, I went to the embassy with a trembling heart. The interviewer asked questions in Japanese, and I did my best to answer. Why do you want to go to Japan? How did you meet Mr. Kenji Kimura? What do you want to do in Japan? I answered with all my heart that I love Kenji-san and want to study singing in Japan. 2 months later, my visa was finally approved. I booked a flight ticket to Japan. The week before my departure, the house was bustling. My mother packed the clothes I would take to Japan, and my father gave me words of advice. My daughter, when you go to Japan, stay healthy and well, and listen carefully to what Kenji-san says. The night before my departure, our family held a small farewell party. My mother prepared my favorite dishes. The table was filled with plov, samsa, manti, sherpa, all my favorite dishes. I held back tears as I ate each bite. My mother held my hand tightly and shed tears. Jamila, when you go to Japan, don't get sick and stay healthy. If you're having a hard time, always contact us. We're always on your side. My father was silent, but patted my shoulder and encouraged me. Fulfill your dreams. We are always on your side. My sisters packed my clothes, looking envious. Sister, Japan is a really wonderful place, isn't it? Can we come visit later too? Layla asked. I nodded. Of course. When I settle down, I'll invite you all. My youngest brother, Amir, hugged me tightly and cried, Sister, don't go. I hugged Amir tightly and said, I'll be back soon. I'll call you often. The flight to Tokyo took 9 hours. As I gazed out the window, I felt both anticipation and anxiety about my new life. Would I really be able to do well in Japan? Would I be able to seize the opportunities as Kenji had said? All sorts of thoughts raced through my mind. On the plane, I opened my Japanese conversation book. I reviewed expressions useful at the airport. Where is the restroom? Where can I pick up my luggage? Where is the taxi stand? I practiced, whispering softly. The plane landed at Narita International Airport at 10 p.m. I got off the plane, went through immigration, and collected my luggage. The moment I stepped into the arrival lobby, Kenji was waiting for me with a bouquet. Jamila-san, you've arrived. Welcome. Kenji smiled broadly and hugged me. I cried in his arms. As we left the airport, I was stunned. Even though it was late at night, the airport was brightly lit, and people moved in an orderly fashion. The floor was incredibly clean and sparkling. Automated toilets, helpful directional signs. Everything was perfect. Kenji-san, this place is amazing. Such a large airport, so clean and systematic. Kenji smiled and said, This is just the beginning. There are more surprises waiting for you. We took a train to Tokyo. Even at that late hour, the train was clean and safe. People sat quietly, looking at their smartphones or reading books. No one was talking loudly or littering. It was completely different from the crowded public transportation in Uzbekistan. On the train, I looked around. Clean seats, clear route maps, accurate announcements. Everything was systematic. Furthermore, there were platform doors at each station for safety. I couldn't help but be amazed. Upon arriving at Tokyo Station, I was amazed again. Even past midnight, the city was brightly lit, and it looked safe for a woman to walk alone. Red buildings soared towards the sky, and there was not a speck of trash on the streets. Neon signs glittered brilliantly, and stores were open even at this late hour. Kenji took me to a small apartment he had prepared in advance. He said it was a place for the two of us to stay for a while. It was a small studio apartment, but to me, it felt like a palace. Hot water flowed abundantly from the shower, a clean kitchen, warm heating, and fast internet. I was overwhelmed and almost cried. The next day, Kenji, as promised, took me to an Enka audition in Tokyo. The audition venue was in Shibuya. We took the subway to get there. When I got off at Shibuya Station, I was amazed again. There were so many people, but despite the crowds, singing. In the waiting room, my hands trembled with nervousness. Kenji held my hand and said, "Jamila-san, you can do it. I believe in Jamila-san's talent." With a trembling heart, I sang the song I had prepared. It was a fusion of Uzbek folk songs and Japanese enka. As I sang, I closed my eyes and poured my heart into it. I put in my longing for my homeland, my love for my family, and my passion for my new dreams. The judges' reactions were enthusiastic. She has a unique charm. Her pronunciation is a little stiff, but her emotional expression is wonderful. One judge said. Another judge added, "The fact that she is a foreigner singing enka is also a big advantage. These are global times after all. She seems to have a lot of potential." As we left the audition venue, Kenji held my hand tightly. "You did really well, Jamila-san. I'm sure there will be a good result." I felt that I had taken a step closer to my dream just 2 days after setting foot in Japan. This was truly a land where I would be respected and my dreams could come true. Everything Kenji had promised was becoming a reality. A year later, I passed the agency's audition and officially became a trainee. I trained daily in vocal lessons and Japanese classes, honing my skills. The teachers were strict, but treated me with care. They corrected me repeatedly when I made mistakes and made me start from the basics when my breathing techniques were off. Kenji and I decided to get married. We booked a wedding venue in Tokyo and invited my parents. All my parents and sisters were invited. I wanted my family to see Japan for themselves. My parents were nervous about their first flight. My sister Layla told me over the phone, "Sister, Mom and Dad were so nervous before getting on the plane. Dad pretended to be fine, but his hands were trembling." I laughed and replied, "It's okay. You'll get used to it soon." Upon arriving at Narita International Airport, my parents were speechless as they exited the arrival lobby. My mother grabbed my arm and said, "Jamila, is this really an airport? It's so big and beautiful. It's nothing compared to our airport in Samarkand." My father was amazed by the moving walkways. "I wonder how this moves on its own," he said, walking on the moving walkway with a childlike wonder. My sisters excitedly looked around the airport, taking pictures. My parents were impressed, saying even the restrooms were equipped with state-of-the-art facilities. My mother came out of the restroom and said, "Jamila, the restroom is cleaner than any hotel. The water flushes automatically, and there's even warm water." I smiled and replied, "Mom, this is just the beginning." Kenji and I took my parents and sisters to Tokyo. Kenji had rented a large van in advance. A regular car would have been too small for so many people. When Kenji called for a car using a taxi app, it arrived in 2 minutes. My father asked in surprise, "Can it come this quickly?" In Samarkand, we have to wait at least 30 minutes after calling a taxi. Kenji smiled and replied, "That's basic in Japan. If you call with an app, it comes right away." The driver showed no awkwardness even when seeing my foreign parents. Instead, he greeted them kindly and loaded their luggage into the trunk. "Where will you be going? We'll adjust the seat temperature for your comfort." My mother whispered in my ear, "Why are people here so kind? They treat customers like royalty." As the car entered Tokyo, my parents were even more surprised. Even at 10 p.m., the city was brightly lit. High-rise buildings glowed magnificently, the roads were well-maintained, and cars moved in an orderly fashion. My father looked out the window and said, "There are so many people and so much traffic, yet it's so orderly. All the cars stop at a single traffic light." My mother looked at the streets in amazement. There's not a speck of trash. Even at night, women are walking alone. It's truly a safe country. Layla asked, "Sister, is it okay to walk alone here at night?" I nodded. "Yes, Japan is truly safe. I walk alone at night too." My parents seemed shocked by everything in Japan. When we arrived at our new apartment, my parents were surprised again. Our apartment was small, but it was clean and modern. As soon as we entered the entrance, the lights automatically turned on. It was a motion sensor. The water from the faucet was hot, the heating was warm, the internet was fast, and the kitchen had the latest appliances. My mother looked around the kitchen and said, "It must be so easy to cook here. Everything is ready. There's a microwave and everything. It's worlds apart from our house." My father turned on the TV in the living room. The screen was large and clear. He fiddled with the remote control, looking puzzled. "Are there this many channels? There are over 100. I smiled and explained, "Father, this is cable TV. You can watch whatever you want, whenever you want." The next day, we took my parents and sisters sightseeing around Tokyo. First, we went to Shibuya. It was the weekend, so there were many people. However, there was order even in the crowds. People queued and waited, and when they bumped into each other, they apologized. My mother walked along the streets of Shibuya, constantly exclaiming in admiration. There are so many shops, and the flashy signs are eye-catching. Cosmetic stores, clothing stores, accessory shops, restaurants. It goes on and on. Layla and my sisters looked around with curiosity. As we were walking, my mother asked a Japanese woman for directions to the restroom. She asked in English, but the woman couldn't speak English. However, she didn't just give up. She took out her smartphone, started a translation app, and looked up the location of the restroom. She even walked with us to show us the way. My mother thanked the woman, her eyes welling up with tears. After returning from the restroom, she said to me, "Jamila, how can a stranger be so kind to us? She must have been busy, yet she made time for us." I smiled and replied, "Mom, Japanese people are naturally like that. They are truly kind." We ate takoyaki and yakisoba in Shibuya. My parents and sisters were surprised to eat Japanese food for the first time. They said it was spicy but delicious. My father particularly seemed to like the takoyaki. "Is this octopus? It's chewy and strange. It's spicy, but it's addictive." For lunch, we went to a yakiniku restaurant. Kenji grilled the meat and taught us how to eat it. Put the meat, garlic, and sauce on the rice. My parents were initially awkward, but soon got used to it. My mother said, "Eating it this way makes the meat less greasy and refreshing. It's truly delicious." After the meal, we headed to the Tokyo Skytree. We took the elevator up. From the elevator, we could see the entire city of Tokyo. My father was speechless as he looked out the window. What a huge city. The buildings stretch endlessly. As we reached the observation deck of the Tokyo Skytree, the panoramic view of Tokyo unfolded before us. The cityscape spread out 360 degrees. It was truly magnificent. The Sumida River flowed through the city, and skyscrapers stood densely packed. My mother shed tears at the sight. "Jamila, you lived in a place like this. It's a truly amazing country." In the evening, we went to a park along the Sumida River. It was sunset. The riverside was lively with people, but not chaotic. People rode bicycles, jogged, sat on mats, all enjoying their time in their own way. My father was impressed by the beautifully maintained riverside. With such a large river flowing through the middle of the city, the water is so clean. People exercise, ride bikes, and walk. It's truly a developed country. We don't have parks like this in Samarkand. My sisters ran around the riverside energetically. Amir shouted, "Sister, this place is great. I want to live here when I grow had such crispy and delicious fried chicken before. The seasoning is also really good. As the sun completely set and the city lights came on, an even more beautiful night view unfolded. The bridges over the Sumida River glittered with lights, and the buildings along the river also shone brilliantly. My parents gazed at the scenery with deep emotion. The next day, we toured Asakusa and Sensoji Temple. I wanted to show them Japan's traditional culture. My father said, looking at the grand architecture of Sensoji, Japan also has a long history. It's amazing that they preserve such beautiful temples. In Asakusa, we rented traditional kimonos and took photos. My mother and sisters were delighted to wear kimonos. My mother said, "Kimono has similarities to our traditional clothing, doesn't it? It's elegant and beautiful." We also went to a traditional tea house and rested while drinking tea. My father seemed to like the quiet atmosphere of the tea house. To have such a traditional space in the middle of such a modern city, Japanese people really preserve their traditions. The night before the wedding, Kenji formally greeted my parents as our closest friends. He bowed deeply in the traditional Japanese way. He knelt on the floor and bowed so deeply that his forehead touched the floor. "Father, Mother, I will make Jamila-san happy for the rest of my life. Thank you for believing in me." My father tightly shook Kenji's hand. His eyes were filled with tears. His hands were trembling. "Kenji-san, I doubted you a year ago. I had prejudices against Japanese men. But now I understand. You truly love our daughter. My daughter has been given such a stable and wonderful world by you. I knew too little about Japan. I didn't know it was such a developed, safe, and orderly country. Jamila will be able to live happily here. I am relieved now." My mother also shed tears. "Kenji-san, please take good care of our daughter. We are fortunate to have someone like you. Although we had many concerns at first, now I know Jamila has truly met a good person. You are a truly good person." I wept with them. It was the moment my parents finally understood and blessed my choice with all their hearts. The parents who had fiercely opposed me a year ago had completely opened their hearts after seeing Japan firsthand. Kenji's sincerity and the reality of Japan had moved my parents. Layla whispered to me, "Sister, Dad told Mom last night, Jamila is truly a lucky child. She is blessed to be able to live in such a country. I want to be like my sister too." I hugged Layla and said, "You can too, if you work hard." The wedding was truly beautiful. My parents and relatives came from Uzbekistan, and many of Kenji's family and friends also came. The wedding venue was decorated splendidly, and everything was perfect. I walked down the aisle in a white wedding dress with Kenji. The wedding march played, and all the guests stood up. I walked slowly, arm in arm with my father. At that moment, all the hardships and adversities of my life flashed through my mind. The days of working in the souvenir shop, street performances, near-death experiences, my first meeting with Kenji, my parents' opposition, and this very moment. My father handed my hand to Kenji and said, "Please take good care of my daughter." Kenji bowed deeply and replied, "I will make her happy for the rest of my life." I couldn't hold back tears of happiness. The officiant spoke, and we exchanged vows. I read my vows in Japanese. It was something I couldn't have imagined a year ago. I vowed to take Kenji Kimura as my lifelong partner and to be with him through joy and sorrow. My voice trembled but was full of conviction. After the wedding ceremony, the reception began. The president of my agency and my teachers also came. The president delivered a congratulatory speech saying, "Jamila-san, congratulations, live happily, and please continue to work hard. You will have good news soon." After our marriage, I truly began to pursue my dream. I underwent 8 hours of vocal training daily at the agency. I systematically learned everything from Japanese pronunciation correction to breathing techniques, emotional expression, and stage manners. I practiced relentlessly. I woke up at 5 a.m. for vocal exercises, trained at the agency from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., took Japanese lessons, and practiced dancing at night. I sang late into the night. It was hard work, but I was happy, because I was doing what I wanted to do to my heart's content. Kenji supported me wholeheartedly. He woke up with me for early morning practice and prepared breakfast and made dinner when I came home late. He gave me massages when I was tired and encouraged me when I looked down. Jamila-san, you can do it. I believe in Jamila-san's talent. 6 months later, an opportunity came from my agency. I was to appear on a small enka contest program produced by a local broadcaster. Although it was small in scale, it was an immense opportunity for me. It wasn't a nationwide broadcast, but it was a program with a considerable viewership on a cable TV channel. I prepared a unique stage that fused Uzbek folk songs and Japanese enka. The first half began with Uzbek folk songs, and the second half transitioned to Japanese enka. The arrangement was also special. I used the traditional instrument dutar as the background music and overlaid it with Japanese enka melodies. On the broadcast day, my hands trembled with nervousness. In the waiting room, I kept humming the song. Kenji sent me a message. Jamila-san, you can do it. I believe in Jamila-san's talent. I'll be watching live from the company. I love you. Stepping onto the stage, I closed my eyes and began to sing. My voice filled the studio. When I sang the Uzbek folk songs in the first half, I remembered my homeland. I thought of my parents, my sisters, and the blue sky of Samarkand. When I transitioned to Japanese enka in the second half, memories of Kenji flooded back. Our first encounter, the moment he heard me sing at Shah Izinda. When the song ended, the judges and the audience gave a standing ovation. One judge said, "It was a truly wonderful stage. It's amazing that Jamila-san from Uzbekistan can sing Japanese enka so movingly. This is not just a song, it's a fusion of cultures." Another judge added, "Jamila-san's voice has sincerity. It's not just technically brilliant, it's filled with a genuine emotion. The Japanese enka market truly needs a singer like this." I couldn't hold back my tears. To have my singing recognized like this, the broadcast received a much larger response than expected. The video uploaded to YouTube surpassed 1 million views in a week, and the comment section was flooded with messages of support. It's moving to see someone from Uzbekistan sing enka so well. I support foreign singers who love Japan. Jamila, fight on. I am grateful that foreigners respect and love Japanese culture so much. Your Japanese pronunciation is also very beautiful. One comment read, "Isn't this what the global era is all about? Different cultures meet and create beautiful harmonies." My agency offered me a formal debut. It was decided that I would release a single album with the concept of Uzbek woman spreading Japanese enka. The president said, "Jamila-san, this is truly the start. Let's prepare a good song and make a proper debut." It felt like a dream. For me, a souvenir shop clerk in Samarkand, to debut as a singer in Japan was unimaginable just a year and a half ago. I called Kenji. "Kenji-san, I'm officially debuting." Kenji said joyfully, "Congratulations, Jamila-san. No, you're my wife now, so I should call you by your name. Congratulations." I knew from the first time I heard Jamila-san sing. I knew Jamila-san was special. The title song was written by a famous composer. The song was titled Longing Heart. It was a song that encapsulated the feelings of longing for one's homeland and love for a loved one. It was a perfect song for my story. I poured all my emotions into singing it. The music video shoot was truly special. It also included locations in Uzbekistan. The agency funded the production costs and filmed in Samarkand. We shot in Registan Square, Shahi Zinda, and in front of the souvenir shop where I used to work. My parents and sisters also made cameo appearances in the music video. There was a scene where the family was gathered around a dining table. My mother seemed shy about being in front of the camera, but she willingly agreed for my sake. After the shoot, the director said, "Jamila-san, your family is truly warm. You've captured everyone's hearts." When my first single album was released, the response was explosive. It ranked on music charts, and invitations for appearances on various TV programs poured in. I was busy with 3 to 4 recordings a day, from morning shows to evening shows. My days were packed. On one talk show, the host asked, "Jamila-san, your life has changed dramatically before and after coming to Japan, hasn't it?" I answered honestly, "Yes, it has completely changed. In Uzbekistan, it was difficult to earn even 1,000 yen a day, but now I earn a fair income through my talent." The host asked again, "What do you like most about Japan?" I thought for a moment and replied, "Opportunity. Japan is a country that gives opportunities regardless of background, as long as you have talent. I am a foreigner, but I was not discriminated against. Instead, I received even more support. My income also increased. I now earn more than 20 times what I used to earn in Uzbekistan, about 400,000 yen a month. With that money, I sent 100,000 yen each month to my parents back home for living expenses. I also paid for my sister's tuition. My father said on the phone, "Jamila, I never imagined you would be so successful. I'm truly proud of you. Our family has been saved thanks to you. Layla can now go to college, and my other sisters can attend cram school." I replied with tears, "Father, this is all I can do." My mother apparently brags about me to people in our hometown. My sister Farida told me over the phone, "Sister, Mom is bragging to the neighborhood aunties. She says, 'My daughter became a singer in Japan. She appears on TV. Japan is truly a developed country. Our family was saved because my daughter married a Japanese man.' I now consider Japan my second home. Here, I am not just working for a living. I am showcasing my talent and fulfilling my dreams. Japan's systematic support, fair opportunities, and culture that respects talent have led me to where I am today." 1 year after my debut, I was invited to appear on a major music program. It was a nationwide broadcast. The moment I stepped onto the stage, I trembled, but at the same time, I was filled with confidence. I sang the song I had prepared flawlessly. After the broadcast, the viewer message board was filled with messages of support. One viewer wrote, "Watching Jamila-san, I feel that Japan is truly a country where you can succeed if you have talent. It shows that talent and effort are important, not nationality or background. Thank you for choosing Japan, Jamila-san." Kenji has remained a reliable supporter by my side. Even with my busy schedule, he takes care of me and supports me. When recordings finish late, he drives from work to pick me up. When I'm tired, he tells me to rest at home, and when I'm not feeling well, he takes me to the hospital. Sometimes, I remember that souvenir shop in Samarkand a year and a half ago. If I hadn't met Kenji that day, I would probably still be there, singing for tips of 1,000 yen a day, living day by day, enduring without hope for the future. But fate led me here. It brought me to meet an angel-like person named Kenji, and it brought me to this country, Japan. The opportunities and hope that Japan has given me are invaluable gifts that no amount of money can buy. I now want to become a singer who introduces Japan's beautiful culture to the world through my songs. I want to play a role in bridging the cultures of Japan and Uzbekistan. That is my expression of gratitude to Kenji, who believed in me and supported me, and to this country. Recently, I received a call from the Uzbek embassy. They asked me to perform at a cultural exchange event between Japan and Uzbekistan. I gladly accepted. It was a great honor to be able to play a role in bridging the two countries. Both ambassadors from both countries participated in the event. I sang a combination of Uzbek folk songs and Japanese enka. After the performance, the Uzbek ambassador said to me, "Jamila-san, you are the pride of our country. Thank you for your active engagement in Japan and for spreading awareness of Uzbekistan." A representative from the Japanese side also said, "With people like Jamila-san, the relationship between Japan and Uzbekistan will deepen further. We look forward to your continued good work." I was moved to tears. At this moment, I am truly happy. I have a loving husband by my side, and I am doing the work I love. My family back home is also living happily. All of this is thanks to Kenji in Japan. Sometimes I ask Kenji, "Kenji-san, what would have happened if you hadn't spoken to me on the street in Samarkand that day?" Kenji smiles and replies, "Then I would have missed out on the greatest luck of my life. Meeting Jamila-san was the best choice of my life." I agree. Meeting Kenji was the greatest fortune of my life, and coming to this country, Japan. Here, I have fulfilled my dreams, found love, and found happiness. I hope my story brings hope to someone. That no matter the circumstances, if you don't give up and keep moving towards your dreams, they will eventually come true. How was today's story? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and set notifications to check out more stories. Please press the membership registration and super thanks buttons to deliver more moving stories to more people. Thank you for watching.